um, I kind of believe that the gods are other entities, other creatures, like us or animals or whatever, but that exist in a completely different frequency range than the one we live in. Right? So, yeah. I do believe that they exist, but it's not like I kind of believe, man, it's just so complicated to explain. Because I can't know everything. I don't know everything. Yeah, so to me, like, I think they are real, but as to whether they are what we experience them as, how we conceptualize them, whether that is their true nature or not, I don't know. I mean, it's like, is there, like, a big fat elephant walking around somewhere with 6 arms called Ganesh? Probably not. It's probably something completely different. But that is how, through our mental filters, we have perceived that entity or resonance or whatever. That's how our minds, that's the symbology that our minds have come up with for it. But it's very, very complicated, And like I've said before, if someone wants to say to me, oh, this is just, some psychological experience that you've been through, you've met other sides of yourself, and all the results you've seen in your real life are coincidences, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't be offended by that at all. I've tried that theory on for size. Doesn't really fit for me, though. Yeah, but I don't mind people thinking that. But the experiences that I have had are very real and don't feel like they were coming from within me. Like I was, playing tricks on myself or something. Because I'm very skeptical. I test things out, because you can. People are quite capable of floating off into a world of delusion. And it's not very productive. So I choose not to do that. Yeah, so I've managed to, pretty much not answer your question. Yay me. But like I said, it's very difficult. And then you asked, why am I not Buddhist? That's an interesting question. Why are you not pagan? I found a lot of Buddhist philosophies very useful, extremely useful, very good mind frames to use, very good thinking tools. What in the end made it not quite work for me was the sort of teacher-disciple arrangement, and also some stuff that I read that basically said that Buddhists often don't believe that a normal person, so a normal, say we're talking about Tibetan Buddhism here, like a normal Tibetan peasant, they don't believe could reach enlightenment because the pursuit of enlightenment basically is a full-time job. So I found that a bit elitist, essentially. Also seems to be very hierarchical, and I'm not into hierarchies. I recognise that hierarchies naturally occur in human society and in groups, but I don't think it's good to enshrine them within traditions. So that's why I'm an eclectic solitary pagan instead of perhaps like a Wiccan who's in some kind of traditional coven. It just doesn't sit well with me. I don't trust your average human being to not abuse power or become drunk on power and authority. I just don't. Maybe that's a bit pessimistic, but at this point in time, I can't get with it. Another thing as well was that I saw this documentary about how the Tibetan Buddhist nuns were trying to get recognized as equal within the religion, and that there were a lot of Buddhist monks who were very sexist and segregationist. And there was this woman, I can't remember what her name was. So, this isn't particularly useful, but this is just where I'm coming from anyway. Who actually went to the Dalai Lama and was talking to him and said, hey, like I saw this on TV, so she was talking to him, she's like, please help us, because this isn't good. And he essentially just laughed in her face and said, you know how he does the Yoda laugh? Yeah, I think Yoda must have been modelled on him. He just reminds me of Yoda, the Dalai Lama, and I'm assuming that George Lucas stole all those characteristics from the Dalai Lama to put on Yoda. But anyway, what a tangent. Yeah, and he basically laughed in her face, and then said that basically this is what people are like, they're a bit traditional, so suck it up and move and deal with it. I wasn't terribly impressed with that. Yeah. So that would probably be the answer. But I really do believe that, and this is a kind of a tricky thing, because you can't, you're not going to try every religion out under the sun. But I don't actually believe that you can really understand how each religion works unless you've been, unless you've devoted yourself to it, committed yourself to it, Like, I won't understand Buddhism the way that you understand it, because you're on the inside. I won't understand Paula's Christianity, because she's on the inside of it and I'm not, Everyone's experience is so subjective and wonderfully personal and very hard to explain, particularly in this culture and in the language we use, which is very limited when talking about anything non-physical. It's very, very hard, because, in our culture you start talking about, oh, and I saw this, and I felt this, and then blah, blah, and it just, to other people on the outside, it sounds like something that 20 years ago you would have been institutionalized for. It's not really, it's very difficult to talk about these things. We kind of lack the language for it. So, there's my drill. I was going to go to bed, but I got inspired to make this, and I hope it's of some use. Thanks again, Melanie. By the way, you're gorgeous. Aren't you cute? See ya.